Catherine Whitaker caught up with Anderson and asked him, Kevin, can you take us through your victory?
Oh, it was a great start, breaking in first game, and then so interesting with the rain coming down. I was quite a bit of momentum at that point in time, so I knew coming back out it was important to at least take care of myself. I know it's my first step, and then had a good game in there, so I actually had a few break points. I felt that I sort of settled down there a little bit. No more breaks of serve until towards the end of the second set. Had a good game to break him. Obviously not ideal losing serve when you're serving for it. I felt I'd taken care of my serve games well throughout the whole match. Little hiccup in that game, but I felt I reset really well. Cowboys not very close, and at that stage you're just sort of scrambling and finding a point, and I managed to find a way to get it done in the end.
How are you finding the conditions here this week, rain aside? A lot of people are talking about how different they are to what they are.
Yeah, I guess a little bit. You played the one match last week in Montreal, and conditions were quite heavy, so it's tough to, at least for me to compare. You would have liked a little bit more. I haven't really been a player that makes notices, sort of massive differences. I feel like I do a good job adjusting and accepting the conditions in the past for how they are. A lot of people have been commenting on both of us, but from my side, I feel like the conditions are playing nicely.
Next, did your performance against Novak Wimbledon just a month or so ago give you belief that you can compete with these top players?
Yeah, definitely. That was a great match, and definitely something I can take with me in my match. With Roger tomorrow, I played him a few times. The biggest thing is just treating it like another match. And I faced him a few times now. I definitely feel like I'll be able to accomplish that easier. It's going to be a tough task. I think this is a lot of success at this tournament. Definitely one of his favorite tournaments, so I'm going to come out and make it tennis.
South African tennis star Kevin Anderson, and Kevin was talking with reporter Catherine Whitaker in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm VOA Sonny Young, and that's the sunny side of sports. Back to Kim Lewis.
Thank you, Sonny, and listen to the Sunny Side of Sports Monday through Friday at 16:31 UTC and 18:31 UTC. And on Fridays, Sonny has an expanded half-hour edition of the Sunny Side of Sports at 17:30 hours UTC, right here on the Voice of America. Coming up on part 4 of our series on Eritrean migrants is their reform in Asmara's future. And a music store in downtown Nairobi offers East African recordings on vinyl. First, here's Annie Martin of Rwanda with Don't Cry. Produced large numbers of refugees who are knocking on European doors. Two big reasons are Eritrea's extreme poverty and what the UN calls an abusive system of national service. Nevertheless, Europe appears to be re-examining its earlier policies of automatic asylum for all Eritreans. Bronwyn Bruton of the Atlantic Council is an observer of Eritrea. She talked to Norway with on of in part 4 of the series on the Eritrean migrants. Is there reform in Asmara?
Bronwyn Bruton first learned about Eritrea when she worked as a human rights advocate. On the Washington, D.C. staff of the National Endowment for Democracy, she trained journalists under the formation of Eritrean political opposition to the ruling Eritrean People's Liberation Front, and she helped Eritrean journalists fleeing persecution.
The economic situation in Eritrea is very poor. Eritrea is isolated, it hasn't had a lot of economic development opportunities, and so it causes people to make a living. And because there's a perception of political persecution in Eritrea, Europe, for example, has an automatic asylum policy, which means that anyone who's Eritrean can get benefits in Europe. And that, in a sense, has been a pull factor, too. So that while there's no doubt that there are people who are fleeing Eritrea for very valid reasons of political persecution, there's also a certain number of people who are leaving Eritrea because they have a feeling that they could have a better life, a better prospect in Europe.
When she moved to the Atlantic Council, where she is Deputy Director of the Africa Center, they can continue to follow the plight of Eritrea's migrants.
What happens in reality to these poor people who go over the border and who try their luck, trying to get across the Sinai, or trying to get across the Mediterranean, their fate is horrific. There are human traffickers, there are rumors about people harvesting organs from those places. I mean, the reality is brutal and horrible.
Much of the criticism of Eritrea's government is valid, she says. Among the permanent national service for human rights abuses and the jailing of journalists. But Bruton says her earlier experience with Eritrea did not give her a complete picture of the nation. Along with some European countries, she is taking another look at Eritrea as a bank of asylum for Eritrea's refugees.
For a while, Denmark, for example, was receiving Eritreans from them. Then in the middle of our time, 514 people arrived to that. So when all of a sudden these European countries are being inundated with Eritreans, they have sort of an interest, political and economic interest in stopping this.
Norway, the United Kingdom, and other European countries are debating their asylum policies for Eritrea. Bruton says she wants a more complete picture of Eritrea and its leaders. Bruton is one of few scholars and researchers who have visited the capital recently. She and an academic colleague met for 3 hours with President Isaias Afwerki and later with members of his inner circle of advisors.
They're doing their best to reach out to Europe to demonstrate that the narrative of human rights abuses on Eritrea is false. They're trying to repair relations. They're working very hard on health and social service programs. They're doing a lot of infrastructure work. They're courting international investors.
Bruton says Mr. Isaias and his advisors told her they were courting foreign investors. They want to speed up much-needed development, and they worry about losing some of these talented Eritreans to Europe.
I heard again and again and again about the true frustration about the brain drain that they were experiencing. The fact that they were trying really hard, for example, to have a successful education system, but they didn't have good teachers. And every time they got a good teacher, the person would be gone a year later because they would have come to Europe. And so I think that there's a realization now that the situation is not sustainable. I also think that there are Western investors inside Eritrea that are putting a lot of pressure on the government. For example, they need workers in the mining sector. And these Western companies don't want to touch slave labor. And they've made it really clear to the government.
Putin is not yet convinced that significant changes will take place in Eritrea. And as of the moment, nothing is certain about the asylum prospects in Europe for Eritreans. They will continue to follow a trail to Europe, filled with great mortal risk. This is David Arnold, reporting from Washington, D.C.
A dusty music store in downtown Nairobi was once the hotspot for East Africans recording their music. Abdul Karim's shop suffered with the introduction of CDs and MP3s, but as VOA State Gospel reports, there is now global interest in the store's East African vinyl recordings.
Okay, this is a Luo band.
This is Abdul Karim, owner of the Melodica Music Store in downtown Nairobi.
Oh, about what? I got my glasses. Oh,
We're in the back of the shop with a pile of old 45 RPM records.
this is a band called Olonde Family Band. There you go, there's the influential family and whatever. The song is called Musa Omoli. This wasn't the name of some politician. You know, a melodica label.